Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the regular monthly meeting of the Board of Commissioners held for the purpose of transacting the general business of the township. Today's date is November 3rd. Oh, why don't we start all over again so we don't deafen the audience? That never happened.
Take two.
Okay. All right, let me turn that down. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners held for the purpose of transacting the general business of the township. Today's date is November 13, 2019. The meeting is being held in the Springfield Township Building. Please stand and join the Board of Commissioners in a moment of silent reflection, honoring the servicemen and women who place themselves in harm's way in order to help preserve our safety at home and overseas. Thank you. Please remain standing and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this point, I would entertain a motion dispensing with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting as written and recorded in the official minute book of the township.
So moved. Second.
Do we have any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. We are in full complement tonight, and we have no special announcements that need to be made. The board is now open to comments or questions from the public. The board draws particular attention to those items listed on the agenda this evening. Please be advised that once the committee reports begin, the board can no longer accept questions from the floor. At the conclusion of the committee reports, public comments will once again be accepted. However, official action on those issues listed on the agenda will have already taken place. Therefore, if you wish to comment, now would be the appropriate time. Do we have public comment? You'll each get your chance. So come on to the mic and tell us your name and address, please.
First of all, thank you for giving me a chance to be heard tonight. My name is Peter Lantos. I was a resident of this township for about 35 years until recently. Currently, I'm just a stone's throw away in White Marsh Township, which is still where I do a great deal of driving because my bank, my drugstore, my pharmacy, my bank, they're all located in Springfield Township. Since I do all my driving here, this is where my problems begin. Traffic has become horrendous in this township. A 15-minute drive to my doctor now takes me about 45 minutes. A 10-minute drive to the pharmacy now takes me over 30. These are just a couple of examples of what we drivers have to contend with. The driving conditions take up a great deal of my time, which I don't have much left, a great deal of my money, which is also in short supply. And it also results in a lot of air pollution with all the cars idling and standing in line. I would suggest that this situation needs your urgent attention. I'm not a traffic engineer, so I don't have a solution for you. I hope you do have a traffic engineer. However, as a private driver, I do have some suggestions for you. First of all, I think road construction and road closures need to be coordinated better. And I mean not just within the township, but with also the adjacent townships. Because the closures and the road constrictions funnel a great deal of traffic to some choke points, and I think this should be avoided. Secondly, the duration of the road closures should be limited. Some of the construction seems to take forever. I'm not aware of any right in your township that has been unusually long, but some of the adjacent ones have been horrendous, like the Butler Pike closure, the Valley Green Bridge closure. These have been for 3 years, and there's no end in sight. When there is a road closure, the traffic lights ought to be adjusted so that there isn't too much traffic. It ought to be adjusted for those roads to which the traffic is being diverted. I think the traffic light, the timing of a traffic light should be adjusted. Needs to be better synchronized. At some of the intersections, a left turn traffic signal would help, or at least a left turn lane would help. Finally, there is one incredibly dangerous situation, the intersection of Thomas Road and Germantown Pike. It strangely is in your township because White Marsh Township abuts that, but it is clearly in your jurisdiction. It is a dangerous intersection because the visibility is extremely limited. Thomas Road takes a very sharp uphill turn at that point. Germantown Pike takes also in one direction a sharp hill and in the other direction a sharp curve. I have been on that road, for example, at times at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when there was a backup of 42 cars. I think that's not tolerable. At the very least, it needs a traffic light or possibly at least a stop sign on Germantown Pike, but it really needs your urgent attention. I spoke to the county commissioners about it, and they washed their hands, first of all saying it's not a county responsibility, but secondly they said something will be done only when there are a few deaths in that area, and there have not been enough deaths. Well, I think that's a deplorable position to take. To sum it all up, I hope that we drivers can count on you for some help in this direction. I live in the hill at White Marsh with 300 residents, and of those, about 150 are still drivers. And they've asked me to bring this to your attention, and hope it will get your help. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just give you a quick response. Most of those things don't directly involve, except for the last one, they don't involve us. Everything you say is best practices. So I can't direct them individually, although I know about most of them, but they're not, as you know, they're White Marsh and they're county projects. We do try to coordinate. We don't have any going right now, so there's really nothing. We had a little bit going on in Orland. But I know we do, the lights should get resynchronized. There should, when you can put an arrow in, I know we did that on Stetton. In Winmore, we got arrows put in when there was construction, although that's mostly PennDOT's.
We did Germantown and Northwestern, too.
Yeah.
Put an arrow in.
All right, we got, for this construction, we got one put, at our request, the one that appeared by Bruno's there, that if you're coming towards the city, goes, we got that one, although all we can do is beg, but we begged and they did it, and I think that helped a little. Thomas Road is more within our purview. It's something we've looked at. We don't actually have the ability to say yes to it, but it's ours, and if one went in there, we would pay for it. So we have the ability to put that in motion. We've tried that in the past, and it hasn't been justified by what they call warrants for either a stop sign or a traffic light. But what we did do is we did a study 10, 12 years ago to try and say, well, if we can't put a light in there, what can we do to make it better? And what we did was we made Thomas Road, if you were coming up from the hill, now when you go straight across, it's one way. It used to be two ways. So if you were at that awful spot you're talking about, I know because my dad used to live at the hill, if you're at that awful spot, you had a car coming at you the other way whose headlights were blinding you, and you had yet another variable in an equation that had too many variables to begin with. That's not going to make it any better because it already made it better. So we're all ears on that one, but it's.
Can I ask why you said that a traffic light is impossible?
Well, for PennDOT to approve it on PennDOT roads, there has to be a certain level of traffic, cross traffic, and as much as it backs up, they wouldn't count the traffic now because there's construction. So it would have to be when there are no detours. It would have to be at a certain volume of traffic, and it was never near it. The fact that it backs up makes it feel really bad, but as you know, it's not actually a lot of cars. It's just so hard to get out, and it's terrifying to get out.
Yes.
But those don't qualify.
When was the last time that they did a traffic survey? I suspect that hasn't been one done very lately.
Probably more than 5 years, but it couldn't be done while there's construction, and that bridge isn't going to be done till the spring.
Conditions change a great deal, when they have really. I would suggest at the very minimum a good survey be done again.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Sure. Ma'am, you're next.
Hurry up. So I'm Elena. I live in Orland, over on Orland Mill Road. The reason I'm here tonight is to address some rising concerns we have as neighbors with the high level of traffic on our street surpassing 25 miles per hour. We're obviously a cut-through street, and I knew that when I moved in, but I had no idea that trucks, vehicles, and even our own school buses would be going well above the 25 miles per hour speed limit. We're a residential street, child populated. I have one of my own, another one on the way, so my anxiety is rising with it. I did get quite a few signatures from my neighbors, and I just went through Meadow to Papermill, which is where my concern is, which is where I live. Very supportive neighbors also expressed concern. So I'm really just asking you if we could at the very least get a traffic study done. I'm putting it in your hands. I know a lot of backlash comes with speed bumps. Maybe a stop sign at Barclay just to slow people down. Because the furthest stop sign is at Lorraine, so people just whip through from Lorraine all the way to Papermill. And it's just not safe, especially with it getting darker. People coming out of Meadow is always dangerous. It's a concern.
Okay, well, we can have the police look at that. That you can't put in a stop sign just to slow people down, but there are other reasons. If there are visibility issues or there are accident records, there are sometimes justifications to do that.
Right.
If not, the other thing that comes out of these, because we just did one on Monday, is they find out that the percentage of people that are speeding is, unfortunately, we're not allowed to ticket till they're 10 above it. But on your street, I bet they are, because that's, and when it's above that, then they can either heighten the enforcement, or they can put up they can always put up those signs that flash at you that you're going, and those help. The enforcement really helps.
We did have one of those. We have a state trooper who lives across the street. We did have one up temporarily in Springfield Township.
Good.
I think those just tell people that they're going fast. I don't really think it enforces it.
Right, well, but we also do enforcement. If that can let us know, and we can then send the police out to enforce too.
Can we start the process of a traffic study?
Yeah, we can ask. Yeah.
Check to see when the last one was done
Yeah.
and what the study results were.
Okay.
And if it hasn't been done in a while, they can redo another one.
Okay, that would
Yep.
be great.
Okay, thank you.
If you want to stick around too, I can talk to you afterwards.
Sure, that'd be great.
I'd be happy to help you in your
Thank you.
neighborhood.
I appreciate that.
Do we have any other public comment? There being none, we will move on to the committee reports. I will start out as the chairman of the Internal Affairs and Library Committees. The first item is the bill list, the member bill listing, item 1. I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the October check reconciliation in the amount of $1,105,188.29, and the November bill listing in the amount of $550,332.58. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
The old train tracks.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. The second item is the budget meeting schedule. The budget presentation will happen later in this meeting, and on December 11th, which is our December business meeting, we will have the budget hearing and the budget adoption. Those are at 7:30 in this room on December 11th. At the Springfield Township Building is where we are. That's the announcement. And then, as promised, we have the budget presentation. So I'm going to read this statement here. The punchline is that our refuse fee is going up by, what is it, Mike, $9? $9, and the tax rate is staying the same. So now you really don't want to listen to all these numbers, but I'm going to read it. The Township Board of Commissioners proposes a balanced operating budget for 2020 of $17,442,290 with a real estate tax rate of 4.441 mils and an earned income tax rate of 1%. To summarize the impact on the typical taxpayer as a result of the 2020 budget projections, the taxpayer will realize no change to their 2020 real estate tax, but will incur an increase of $9.10 associated with the refuse service fee. In years 2006 and 7, the real estate taxes were reduced from the past years, and the real estate tax rate from 2008 through 12 remained unchanged. 2013, there was a modest increase in taxes, followed by a reduction in 2014. 2015, they were increased but held steady again in 16. 2017, they were increased by $50, and in 2018, they were increased by $44.55. And last year, they were increased by $38.94. The increases from 2017 to 2019 were largely associated with debt service payments related to the municipal campus renovations, contractual increases to employee wages and benefits, insurance premiums, and contributions to the volunteer and paid emergency service providers. The typical household in Springfield Township with a $175,400 property assessment will pay $778.95 in real estate taxes in 2020, which is the same as in 2019. The township is able to maintain the same rate as in 2019 due to a modest reduction in administrative salaries and pension obligations, as well as the satisfaction of a 2010 general obligation loan utilized for stormwater improvements. These savings are offset by anticipated increases to employee wages and benefits, capital projects, and municipal building utility and maintenance expenses. The 2016 refuse service fee was the same as in 2015. 16 was the same as in 15, but the 2017 fee was increased by $10.13 per year. 2018, it was increased by $3.19 due to the increase in the waste disposal fee and the amount of waste collected. In 2019, it was increased by $8.58 due to the increases in both the waste and recycling disposal fees. 2020 discounted annual refuse service fee will be $223.24. So unlike the property tax, that's a flat fee, so everybody pays the same amount. The residences all do, $223.24, which is an increase, as I said before, of $9. In 2020, the resource recovery plant, where the solid waste collected by the township are converted to energy, is increasing its disposal fees to the township by $1.17 per ton. In addition, the average monthly cost to process and market single-stream recyclables is projected to increase by $19 per ton in 2020. Which is pretty amazing if you think about that. That's a $19 a ton increase in our cost of recyclables when 8-10 years ago we were getting paid $12 for that. But there's been a crash in the market for most of the materials, and so the price has gone way up. The amount of household refuse and recyclables collected by the township has remained about the same as in prior years. However, for sorted recyclable materials continues to be negatively impacted by restrictions imposed by the Chinese government banning the import of certain recyclable materials. The township will continue to fund its general budgetary obligations through traditional revenue sources such as real estate tax, earned income tax, real estate transfer tax, mercantile and business privilege tax, licenses and permits, fines, and departmental earnings. In 2019, a local service tax was enacted whereby individuals employed with the Springfield Township now pay $1 per week or $52 annually through a payroll deduction. Those who do not earn more than $12,000 annually are exempt from the tax. Township anticipates the receipt of an additional $7,851 in revenues from the local service tax in 2020. 2020 preliminary budget will be made available for inspection in the office of the Township Manager, 1510 Paper Mill Road, Winmore, and in the Township Library, 8900 Hawthorne Lane, Winmore, beginning at 5 o'clock on November 15, 2019. The 2020 preliminary budget will also be posted to the Township website on or before the above date. Summary copies of the budget are also available upon request. Board of Commissioners will accept questions and comments on the budget at their workshop meeting on December 9th, 2019 at 7 o'clock, and again as a part of a budget hearing and budget adoption on December 11th, 2019 at 7:30. All aforementioned meetings will be held in the Springfield Township Building, 1510 Paper Mill Road, Winmore. That is the budget statement. Thank you for your forbearance. So the next has to do with the engineer's rate schedule. Under cover letter of October 29, 2019, the Township's consulting engineer, Boucher and James, Inc., submitted their 2020 rate schedule for professional services. The rates reflect an average increase of $3.54 per hour across all positions for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31st, 2021. That's a 2-year commitment. The Township engineer's rate schedule was unchanged from 2006 to 2017 and last increased in 2018, 2 years ago. Therefore, I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the 2020 rate schedule as proposed by Boucher and James, effective January 1, 2020. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. That concludes my report. So at this point, I would call on the Chairman of the Public Works and Facilities Committee, Commissioner Shum.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 items this evening. First, in 2018, the Township applied and received a Community Development Block Grant from Montgomery County to perform ADA-compliant accessibility improvements to the gymnasium building located at the Township Recreation Center, 1200 Willow Grove Avenue, Wimore. The grant is in the amount of $172,500 and requires no local match. Section 1805 of the Pennsylvania First Class Township Code requires the preparation of separate bids for plumbing, heating, ventilation, and electrical work when the entire cost of such work exceeds $18,500. Therefore, on Wednesday, November 6, 2019, the Township received multiple bids from general contractors, mechanical contractors, electrical contractors, and plumbing contractors for the project. The results of the public bidding process are available through the Office of the Township Manager upon request. Is it okay if I make this one motion?
Yes. No, I think
thank you.
yeah.
I move that the Board of Commissioners award the general construction contract to F.W. Halder Incorporated of Malvern, PA, for their low bid price of $87,512 plus alternate number 1 for $15,812 for a total contract of $103,324. Award the plumbing contract to Hirschberg Mechanical of Fort Washington, PA for their low bid price of $31,348. Award the mechanical contract to Hirschberg Mechanical of Fort Washington, PA for their low bid price of $11,615, and award the electrical contract to CMSE Incorporated of Cochranville, PA for their low bid price of $15,349. The combined total value of all the awarded contracts is $161,636. That's my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Thank you. Next, in 2015, Springfield Township acquired the former Tank Car Corporation of America property located at 1725 Walnut Avenue, Orland, in order to redevelop the site as an active recreation area. Since 2017, the Township's environmental consultants have been working with the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection to complete the Act 2 site cleanup protocol to ensure the Township does not face additional environmental obligations in the future. The DEP recently approved the Township's Act 2 work plan for that purpose, and it is the Township's intentions to secure grant funding to perform the work required by the DEP. So therefore, I move that the Board of Commissioners authorize a letter of intent to be sent to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, notifying the department that it's the Township's intent to submit an application for industrial site reuse funds. The funds will be utilized to perform site assessment activities valued at $136,600. If the grant is approved as submitted, the Township will be required to provide a local match in the amount of $34,150 that will be paid for from capital funds earmarked for that purpose. That's my motion.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. Concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Shum. We move to the Chairman of the Community Development Committee, Commissioner Standish.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one item tonight concerning the Historic Resources Ordinance. I move that the Board of Commissioners authorize the advertisement of a public hearing to be held on December 11, 2019, to receive public comment regarding a proposed ordinance amending Chapter 114 zoning. Principally, the proposed ordinance creates a new overlay district entitled Historic Resources Overlay District and further amends the Township Code by adding a new chapter entitled Historic Resources, including the establishment of a Historic Commission. And if I might also add, just wanted to say that we have been working on this project through the Planning Commission for, I think we've been working on this diligently for over 2 years, and I'm really proud of the Planning Commission for coming up with this really stellar ordinance. A couple of things about it. It is totally an opt-in program, meaning we're not forcing anybody to relinquish their property to a historic ordinance or whatever. Secondly, it's a program that's going to envision a fairly short list of important properties, so it's not as if every building that's over 75 years old in the township, which is pretty much most of them, I think, are going to qualify. So it's a very flexible program, and it's going to help people to do things with their properties that they couldn't do under the normal ordinance, which means that they can preserve the properties and use them in different ways. You know, for instance, turning them into offices or retail uses or things like that. So I'm really excited about this, and those are my comments. So that's my motion.
Great. We have a motion. Do we have, you made the motion?
I made it.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. And does that conclude your report?
Oh, I'm sorry, that does, yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Standish. We move to the Chairman of the Cultural and Environmental Resources Committee, Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 3 items tonight. The first is the recycling report. That during the month of October 2019, Springfield Township residents recycled 204.63 tons of materials with a householder participation rate of 82.3%. The net costs for the month were $19,428.15. I would also like to report that members of the EAC last Friday had the opportunity to tour our the recycling center run by Mascaro and Sons, called Total Recycling, just a little bit outside of Reading, Pennsylvania. 10 of us got on a bus and took the tour, and it was a very impressive facility, so much so that we obtained a video, and we're posting the video of the facility on the township's website if anyone would like to review it. But it was a very impressive facility and very impressive tour. And to your point about the flip in income versus expenses for recycling, one of the big reasons that unfortunately took place was that the Chinese no longer would accept our dirty recycling. They had in the past been willing to accept rates of like 20% impurity in the recycling, but today it's dropped down to 2 or 3%, which is very, very difficult to obtain. But I would urge all of our residents, when they recycle, especially glass and plastic bottles and soda bottles, beer bottles, whatever, is to rinse them and to make them as clean as possible, because cleanliness in recycling really does work, and ultimately we will reap the benefits of that. My second item is a resolution, Resolution 1484. The Sustainability Pennsylvania Community Certification is a voluntary performance recognition program to help municipalities achieve their sustainability goals to save money, conserve resources, and encourage innovation. It is intended to bring recognition to municipalities that are applying the policy and practice of sustainability as part of their normal operation. Examples of sustainable initiatives completed by Springfield Township include collaboration with neighboring communities to improve the water quality of the Wissahickon watershed, the installation of a green roof at the Free Library of Springfield Township, and placement of electric vehicle chargers at the municipal campus just in the parking lot next to the library. So I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt resolution number 1484, a resolution authorizing participation in the Sustainable Pennsylvania Community Certification Program. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Okay, my third item is, with regret, the Environmental Advisory Commission has received a letter of resignation, Victoria Candido, that must respectfully resign her position as a member of the Environmental Advisory Commission due to professional obligations. On behalf of the Board of Commissioners, I wish to thank Ms. Candido for her services to the Springfield Township community, and she really was a big help to the EAC and one of the prime movers for our flashy decal as to what you can recycle and what you can't recycle, which are available in the Township building if you would like one. That concludes my reports, Mr. President.
Do we have to accept that, or?
Yeah, you should.
Okay, you want to make a motion?
Oh, I would make a motion, yes.
Okay, we have a motion to accept that resignation. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
That concludes my reports.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. And just as a point of the procedure we've worked into for the EAC, normally when we have openings on boards, we advertise them and we interview people, but we've worked into another process for the EAC. They have associate members, and those are people that come to the meetings and want to get more involved, and they get named associate members, and they don't have a vote, but they're active and they work on the projects. So when they have openings, we typically ask the committee whether they're associate members that are likely to move up. So that said, if you're interested, and that's not etched in stone, but that's the way we typically go. If you're interested in getting involved in the EAC, they meet on the fourth Wednesday of the month, although that, but thanks to Thanksgiving and Christmas, that means the next meeting's the fourth Wednesday of January. But go to their meetings and see what they're doing, and they do a lot of education work, and I know I was on it when it started. It's amazing how many different things environment touches when you start getting into power and road materials and fertilizers on fields, and it's not just the most obvious things. And we've made some commitments. There's a lot going on. It's really interesting. So that's just some context on that. At this point, I would like to call on the Chairman of the Parks and Recreation Resources Committee, Commissioner Graham.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two items tonight. The first one being on the recreational facilities permit forms and fees. The Director of Parks and Recreation, in conjunction with the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee and Township Solicitor's Office, recently updated the Township's recreational facilities permit forms to clarify the rules and regulation for the use of the Township facilities and to institute hold harmless provisions and insurance requirements. The Township is also updating its fee schedule for the use of its recreational facilities to reflect the rate changes by the neighboring municipalities such as Upper Dublin and White Marsh Townships. I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the use of the revised permit forms and fee schedules as recommended for approval by the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee at its October the 2nd, 2019 meeting. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have one comment, and that is in establishing the fees, this is not a money grab. This was part of the purpose of the fee is to make sure you're not signing up for a field you're not going to use. And the other purpose in setting them was to make sure we were on a par with all the surrounding townships. So that's kind of where we were trying to find out. And as Eddie explained, there also were legal reasons where the forms really weren't appropriate, needed to be updated. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Thank you. And I just wanted to add to that, I should have added during the comments, but just a vote of kudos to our new Parks and Recreation Director, Emily Croak. She's doing a fantastic job of bringing the Parks and Recs into the 21st century with all of the new websites and the updating of our fee schedules and our site on the township website. So kudos to you, Emily, if you're watching this. My second item is the resolution number 1483. The PICO Green Region Grant Program provides grant awards of up to $10,000 with a 50% local match to preserve, protect, and improve open spaces. Eligible applicants are limited to municipalities and nonprofits located in southeastern Pennsylvania. I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt resolution number 1483, a resolution authorizing application to the PICO Green Region Grant Program to provide funding for the Mermaid Park Habitat Improvement Project in Wimworth. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Graham. We move on to the co-chairman of the Public Safety Committee, Commissioner Maxwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do not have a report this evening.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Maxwell. Finally, we go to the chairman of the Zoning Committee, Commissioner Cobb.
Thank you, Mr. President. A public hearing will be held on the following petition on Monday, November 25th at 7 p.m. In this building. WSP Ivy Hill Limited Partnership doing business as Wasatch Storage Partners, care of Amy Farrell, Esquire of 910 Harvest Dive, Bluebell, PA, is requesting the following zoning relief in order to permit the redevelopment of the property located at 1331 Ivy Hill Road, Philadelphia, PA 19150. Variance from section 114-134 to reduce the required number of parking spaces from 295 to 12. Variance from section 114-135 to replace an existing 4-foot fence located within the front yard with a 6-foot fence in the same location. Variance from the same section to permit 2 fascia signs on the property where 1 is permitted. And a variance to permit fascia signs in excess of 40 square feet along the street facade and 20 square feet along the secondary facade. To the extent necessary, a determination from the Zoning Hearing Board that the previously granted variances related to front yard setback and aisle width, buffers, landscaping islands, access, front yard fence setback, and sign setback remain in effect, or in the alternative, variances to permit the same, and such other relief as the board may determine necessary to effectuate the proposed site plan and accompanying materials. The above relief is requested in order to redevelop the currently vacant property into a 117,733 square foot self-storage facility located on a 4.98 acre parcel in the industrial zoning district. All interested parties may appear and be heard at the above mentioned public hearing again on Monday, November 25th at 7 p.m. That's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Cobb. That concludes the committee report. We are now again open for public comment. Do we have any? There being none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, I just got a quick.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank the gentleman for coming out from the Hill and sharing the experiences. I will say, and I think everybody up here, we all drive in this township. I sit in the same traffic that you do on a daily basis, trying to get out of the township to work or appointments. So, unfortunately, we're all in this together, but I definitely heard appreciated what you shared tonight, and thank you for coming out.
Yes. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. So